Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Scenic View podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Owens, with Ardis Watkins, Suzanne Beasley, and Sammy Cline. We are at a new location this week, but we have the same great show, so let's jump right in.
Can't help it. It sounds like we're not paying our rent or something every time John thinks they were at a new
I wish we had a list of all the places we've been.
We've been a bunch of places.
We've been just homeless.
But we're very grateful for the people that have taken us in during our time of need.
Yeah. And I think we're getting closer to our return to the office.
Yeah,
right?
We're coming back in a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be so exciting to be able to put this microphone system out
Yeah.
in a room and
back to the room Sammy decorated in a perfect way. Not decorated. She fixed it up, put soundproof stuff on the walls.
And y'all don't see the bag that John has been having to carry around.
Oh, yeah.
All the mics and everything in it.
We can't even offer to do it for him.
Yeah.
And then
that heavy.
Oh, y'all act like I'm strong or something.
Well, okay, maybe we're weak. I don't know.
But it'll be nice to finally have some trunk space in my car for sure.
Yeah.
So every week we always start with a budget update. Again, there's not a huge amount of news out. Do you have any?
Yeah, not a huge amount out. Leadership is still saying middle of the month we'll see a budget. So, and passed by the end of the month is what we heard from some other appropriations members yesterday. And then they'll take a break July 4th, which is pretty traditional, and they'll come back 3 days a month for session through December. So
the goal is June 15th.
Yeah, the week of June 15th.
And I saw that Governor Josh Stein spoke out a little bit about this at the Council of State meeting this week. And he said that he's never seen a date set out a month beforehand that's ever been met by the General Assembly.
Yeah, well,
So
he's not wrong.
I guess he has his doubts. He said if he was a betting man, which he's not, then he would not place a bet on that actually happening.
I know they've come back pretty much every month for years now, even though that's not how they were set up to be a citizen legislature. But why is it they have said as a reason they're coming back 3 days a month?
Yeah, I did not hear a reason specifically for this.
Because that's
But
mileage for all these people to
is.
come here and,
It
just do like 12 days in 1 month and be done with it, right?
Well, I mean,
Come here one time.
technically everything out there stays alive, as we call it. So it just extends,
Is there any
time for
That's expensive.
expensive and time for
Is there any
activity.
statutory reason for them to do that, or
Not
no?
that I'm aware of.
Okay, okay,
I mean, it's built to be a citizen legislature.
yeah.
I mean, I can remember back in the days when they would actually, sine die.
Right.
And that was a big deal.
I am still the biggest proponent of paying them good money, a salary, and making it a full-time legislature
Agree.
so that every walk of life can run for office and can afford to survive if they do it. And it's not just retired or independently wealthy or just super wealthy in their jobs,
And
people who run law firms, insurance companies, et cetera. Nothing against them, but we need diversity if we're going to have people making decisions for everybody in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And common misconception, the state legislature is not Congress. They do not make a huge amount of money. The salary for being a legislator is a little over $13,000 a year. And then they get per diem, which is, a boost on top of that. But they're not making money enough for them to be away from their jobs to conduct business here. So, yeah, I agree.
And when you say, and when Ardis says diversity, like you're not saying just, what everybody thinks of as when someone says diversity, like racial diversity.
I mean, I'm for all kinds of diversity down there because how in the world else do you make? So I have no problem saying, look, I'm for all kinds of diversity down there because if you're deciding the fate, the lives of, over 10 million people, you need to kind of look like those people in every way. But yeah, you're right, John. What I'm really saying is economic diversity here because there's not.
Yeah, our legislature is not a cross-section of what our state.
If you work at the Dollar General, you can't afford
to
go work at the General Assembly.
That's what I was getting at. Like, if you worked in Waynesville, you couldn't run for the General Assembly because you'd have to
depends
drive.
Where you work.
I mean, if you worked at like a Dollar.
If you ran your own law firm or something. But I mean, I want to know what the folks who work at Dollar General or anywhere else have to say, because they're bringing something to the table that
Right.
can't get to the table any other way except through advocacy groups.
Yeah.
That's not the same. That person needs to have a vote. If we had a good salary,
Mhm.
people would run for these things and be willing. That's public service. It's not, I don't know. It's self-selected right now that it can only be rich
Yeah.
people
Yep.
or retired.
Or retired. And one underserved demographic would be state employees, right? They can
Oh, yeah.
no one who works at a facility could
impossible.
take the time off or have the
Impossible.
money to run for office,
We occasionally see a retired state employee. Usually, though, even they are from right around
Mhm.
Raleigh, because otherwise it's unaffordable for a state retiree. They don't have the kind of retirement
Right.
that would afford doing this job.
So still wait and see on the budget then, I guess.
Correct.
Now, you said that there was a bill moving through, the OSHR bill.
Yeah, so the Workforce Modernization Act is a rewrite of the State Human Resources Act. It's streamlining a lot of the processes that are already in the State Human Resources Act, especially hiring processes, to make it easier to get staff. That crisis we've been experiencing for years now is certainly not over. There are some changes in there on bereavement leave and family leave for qualifying events like, having a baby. So some good things are in there that weren't in there. I think there's one more vacation day.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So
I've actually gotten some comments on Facebook from our members who are pushing for a week of leave added to what they're given for the budget. I know they've done that in the past, but
they have. And, and we get to a point in the budget process where people start asking about the bonus leave. There was a bonus included in the framework of this budget, so I'm not sure how likely it would be to get bonus leave time on top of that. But
yeah.
Well, the problem with the bonus leave in recent years when it was given is that you couldn't roll it over.
That's right.
And there's so few staff right now, so many vacancies. People weren't able to take their leave in that year, so they would lose it.
Yeah.
And when they first started this, and then they realized, oh, this is going to cost us money, and they figured out a way to do it without it, costing money for the state. But, when they first did the bonus leave, you could bank it.
Yeah.
For retirement, which was great. And it's not terrible if they do put the non-monetary bonus leave in there for new employees, but we don't have a lot of new employees right now. Somebody without a lot of leave.
So this bill from the OSHR, I think it points out something about scenic that people never really see, in that we were approached with this bill some time back, and there were some parts of this that we objected to, right?
There were.
And we were able to work to get those taken care of, get those taken out. No one will really ever know that, And so when people say we're not working for them, we're doing a lot they never see, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, one of the terms we use over at the legislature, inside baseball. We worked closely with Director Stacy Meyer and her team. Wesley Davis is a great asset to her team over there to address our concerns.
Yeah, they were really awesome. They weren't trying to run gotcha bills on anybody, and they said, here's what it's going to look like. We're trying to make this system stronger and make more sense.
Yeah.
Streamline everything, make it more modern. If you see anything that you have an issue with, it certainly wasn't because we're trying to hurt anybody, so let us know. So that's
it's great to do
That's
that
a
kind of
great
work
partnership.
on the front end.
Yeah.
So, you avoid drama in committee.
So thank you to OSHR for that.
Yes, we appreciate working together.
I mean, it shows that, we do have some relationship with these people, but our core responsibility is to look out for our members.
That's
and
right.
So anything like that, we're going to have to fight against, and we are doing that. It's just.
We do. I think, folks don't realize that a lot of our time is spent stomping out fires.
Yeah.
Well, listen, when I came to work for Scenic, I had been a state employee, and I was not a Scenic member. Nobody ever talked to me about Scenic, and I didn't know about Scenic. But I would have said, what have they done for me? When I got to Scenic as an employee and was in the file cabinets and saw all of the bad things that could have happened to me that did not because of Scenic, I realized only then, oh my goodness, thank goodness somebody was on this kind of stuff, and it didn't happen.
And just for the record, on our website, if you're, one of those folks out there questioning what Scenic has done for us, there is an extensive list
put together. But let's give a shout out to
Yes.
District 2 Chairman Cliff Johnson, who
Yeah, he did a great job of
Yeah,
putting
I
a
had to put him on
years-long
the
list
communication staff.
of accomplishments and things that we did stop. I mean, you can find that on our website at www.scenic.org. If you have questions, look it up.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have about the legislature. Do you have anything else that you wanted to touch on? Or?
Not at this hour.
All right, well, switching gears now, sometimes we have the segment of things heard on other podcasts. And Ardis, you brought us one today from the Under the Dome podcast this week, the horrific story about 6-year-old Dominic Moody in Mecklenburg County, who died in December and had endured several years of abuse and neglect. And she weighed just 27 pounds when she was found. Just a horrible story, but there is kind of a state employee angle to this story, right?
Yeah, we'll know more later about everything that went down in between Mecklenburg County, between the state. But the one thing we do know about the state is that we have 100 counties, and DHHS has to oversee all of these social services in all these 100 counties, and their staff's not very big doing that. So I think it just highlights, without knowing any more particulars about it, it just struck me listening to it. Oh my goodness, this is just another way that it's so important that we properly staff all of state government, because all these awful things that happen, they just make me wonder every time, okay, did we have enough staffing in all these governmental jobs? Did we have the right people? Are we paying enough to recruit and retain the right people to do these jobs? People's lives are at stake, but a 6-year-old girl? I think that, I don't know, for me, it was particularly appalling.
Glaring, yeah.
There's a House Oversight Committee having a hearing right now. I guess today is Thursday.
As we speak.
And so there'll be a lot more come out about this story. But the allegations have prompted Mecklenburg County to review its Youth and Family Services Division, and DHHS is conducting its own child welfare program review.
But at the end of the day, you have taxpayers who say, if you were to ask a random taxpayer on the street, hey, what should we pay state employees? Most of them would tell you as little as possible, and I don't want many. Have as few state employees as we can have. But if you said a 6-year-old girl died and here's the circumstances, and I don't know, but there's a possibility we may not have had proper staffing to make sure these kind of things didn't happen. Does that change your opinion? I think it would.
Yeah.
But people aren't making these connections. And what kind of bothers me is there's a lot of armchair quarterbacking that goes on afterwards about, how did they let this happen there? Well, it all starts with funding, and it starts with respecting these jobs. And there are so many jobs where North Carolinians are being protected by state employees, county employees, city employees, and yet the disrespect for these public employees stays off the charts. So if you respect North Carolinians, if you respect your constituents, you have to respect the people who are taking care of them.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't have it any other way. And I think that's my soapbox I'm going to be on about that. It's my second soapbox of the episode, following up on the legislator pay. But it makes me very upset every time I hear a story like this, because the finger pointing will be going on like crazy. But at the end of the day, what I really want to know out of all of this, do we have big enough divisions to actually make sure this kind of crap doesn't happen?
And, we work really hard as an organization to bring some awareness, not only to legislators, but to the general public about what it is state government and public service covers. And that's a hard thing to do. Everybody understands teachers, but not everybody understands the rest of state government that keeps our state operating and safe.
Amen.
So I saw, this is kind of tangentially related, I guess, but when the amendment was put on the ballot about the income tax cap, I saw a lot of, right-wing pundit folks in North Carolina kind of doing gotcha with people who voted against it, saying, you want to raise taxes. This is the argument.
Well, people will be against it until they're standing in lines at the DMV again.
Yeah.
Well, I think but if you're talking about local taxes.
No, this was the income tax cap from.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the property tax for a minute there. The income tax cap, yeah.
I mean, that too, as far as locals being able to budget for needs. But
if you're okay with where state government is right now, then a cap would make sense. But I don't know. This is a fight we'll have probably several more times before November. It just popped in my head.
But people don't understand that.
Yeah.
The correlation between lack of funding, if this is capped,
one of my favorite
providing services, two different things to them.
One of my favorite idioms, or is that a word? I don't know. I wasn't very good in English. Is you get what you pay for. You really do, though. Like that's always true. It seems like so. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want the cheapest employee in charge of children's safety? Do you want the cheapest employee in charge of public safety in any way?
Or no employee because you can't hire someone.
You know, in charge of. We talked about bridges last week. Do you want the person inspecting the bridges that you're going to drive over with your children to be the cheapest person you could get? Yeah. Do you? Doubt it.
And then you haul the people in front of a committee and, question them when they're working as hard as they can, pretty much, But I digress. So another story I saw this week was that our recurring guest and friend of the podcast, State Auditor Dave Bullock, said he plans to audit the Opportunity Scholarship Voucher Program. We've talked about this program a lot on this podcast. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but one of them is you're handing over taxpayer money that could go to public services to rich families to send their kids to private schools.
In some cases, yes.
Yeah. What do you expect out of an audit? I know that the auditor is from the Republican side who is pushing these scholarships. But I've found that, some of his audits, like on the jobs, he also said things that.
Oh, yeah. I think he's an auditor. And auditors are not really, they just can't be political because it's about the numbers.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Is what it is.
Yeah. I don't have a question as to whether he's going to go into this with a critical auditor eye. I think he will. There's so many questions. I have so many questions about this, and I hope his audit gets to all of them. And part of the reason this is so important to every North Carolinian, but particularly state employees and retirees, is that this program, state lawmakers, according to the News and Observer, have pledged to raise funding for the program to $875 million a year by 2032. Almost $1 billion every year, happening in less than a decade, just a little over 5 years. You combine that with lower income taxes, and you're talking about very little to grow government if our population grows anymore, and to pay enough to retain decent people. So this is a very, very critical issue. But again, I have so many questions. I'm wondering what happens if I get a check. It's paid to the school. I put my child in a private school. And then in October.
Say they don't make a sports team they wanted to get up.
And then I move my child to public school. I mean, I would assume, and I don't know, maybe these are the kind of questions he'll answer for the public. I assume when that school gets that money, it's their money, whether the child stays the whole year or not. And I want to know what percentage of the folks who take advantage of this program have an income over $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm just really curious.
I mean, we already know that a lot of people who would qualify for it already have children in private schools. So it's not like it's drawing, public school kids.
The program paid $587 million this year for 106,000 students as of May. That's more than triple what it did the year before.
Yeah.
Students now make up the majority of enrollment at least 520 of the 930 private schools in North Carolina. So it seems like it's really been promoted, right? I mean, I know that one high school in my area requires you to apply for it for enrollment. And I think their tuition has doubled since this program came about, and 94% of their students are receiving vouchers.
So it's really not facilitating the ability, because some people, look, public school's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
True.
For whatever reason. But it's not necessarily facilitating the ability to go over to a private school to have these vouchers if the schools have increased their tuition. Because some of these schools seem like they're still trying to elbow people out that might not be, as rich as others.
Yeah.
Still try to keep a kind of country club atmosphere.
And Sammy, you said you had some information on this, right?
Yeah, I saw a report that was from the News and Observer Raleigh where they were talking about how a breakdown shows that 12,252 of the voucher students were previously in public school of the 106,789 students receiving vouchers. and more than 61% of those students were not economically disadvantaged.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rich get richer.
Right.
Meanwhile, some of our schools are struggling. So we'll see what comes from that audit. I hope he makes a dashboard for it. You think he'll make a dashboard?
Look, he
Yeah.
he loves his dashboard.
He loves his
Yeah, I'm sure
dashboard.
there'll be one.
Yeah.
And by the way, the auditor has a podcast now, so I don't know if it's started yet, but he's going to, if he
Wonder if
hadn't already started.
I wonder if he'll invite you on this podcast.
Oh, no, I would be happy to go on. I think he's having folks it looked to me from the ad about it, it's folks within the department talking about the work
Okay.
they do, which is cool. So if it hadn't started, check it out later. If it has started, check it out now. Go to the state auditor's website, and I'm sure they'll have a link to their podcast, but check it out.
I have a sports-related story. You know I like sports, and I couldn't do a podcast without mentioning this one because it's kind of intersection of both my favorites, state employees and sports. No. So the pension system could have bought part of the Carolina Hurricanes. State Treasurer Brad Briner said it would obviously have been cool to own as a pension system part of the Hurricanes, but we don't get to consider that as part of the investment philosophy. They had a chance to do it last year when owner Tom Dundon sold. I think he had to sell part of the team to be an owner of another sports team, which is the Portland Trail Blazers. So don't fact check me on that, but that's how I understand it. So I guess they approached the pension system because we're just a huge, big pot of money.
And everybody wants a piece of it.
Yeah.
So-
Last week it was AI, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Build the data centers with the
Mhm.
pension money.
I had a funny thought, though. We might have been the only sports team owners in America who couldn't afford the tickets for their team.
Oh my
Fair
gosh.
point.
Fair point.
I saw some of these Stanley Cup tickets are going for like $5,000 each.
Good
So,
Lord.
yeah. So what do you think about owning a sports team for the pension system, Artists?
Pension systems own insane things.
They really do. Yeah.
Really, really insane things. The amount of timber alone we own is dumb. But, and that's, Treasurer Briner has nothing to do with any of that. So I want to commend Treasurer Briner for not taking
the bait on that?
taking the Hurricanes up on that offer, as, quote, cool as it might have been.
Yeah.
He is nothing if not a savvy investor. The Canes are fun. I'm so glad they're doing well.
But not.
But no.
No.
Now, if state
Just no.
employees got a discount to go to that boy
Yeah,
aquarium
we'd have
based
to get
on
a
that.
Then it would
right.
be a great No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, it just, no. No.
Even, I mean, obviously I like sports, but I don't even know the financial situation of some of these teams. I know that, like NFL teams are grossly overvalued.
Yeah.
But I don't know about hockey. So I don't know if they're making money or I'm sure there probably are, but you can't always guarantee
Just
they might be
because
terrible.
what
one
you're
year.
investing in is making money doesn't mean that you make money.
Yeah.
Especially as more and more shows come out about hockey, more and more people are getting
Right.
into it. And
True. It's very au courant. But I have to say, everybody is going to approach Treasurer Briner. They always have with any treasurer we've had or anybody else has for that matter. With everything under the sun they want the person to invest in. And it's hard. It's hard for these systems to keep from jumping on to the train of all kinds of crazy stuff. So thank you again to Treasurer Briner for.
Yeah, I still stand by my investment advice for Sam Watts when he came over. Just buy some lottery tickets. Buy $1 billion worth of lottery
We do.
tickets.
It's called private equity. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. Because
Speaking of private equity, another plug.
Somehow we make it back there.
Another plug for Pension Fight Club. I see that it's out now. It's a movie or a documentary about the investment of pension funds into alternative things like hedge funds and I guess just anything but we're talking more about.
It's about the lack of transparency
Yeah.
in the investments generally across the whole country.
Yeah, so we're going to be promoting that on our Facebook and the social media outlets because people really need to see it. And it's a little bit difficult to find that I found, and so we need to make that easier for folks. But I think everybody
Yeah.
needs to watch it. We need to start sending it to legislators too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to.
You want to know why you're not getting a COLA?
Yeah.
But good news on the steps towards the COLA front this week. The treasurer announced
That's right, yeah.
Pretty impressive gains. Thank you, Treasurer Bronner. And then thank you for, in your statement about those gains, saying first that, this is good because we need to give a COLA. I'm paraphrasing him here,
No, he
for
did.
retirees. And then the second thing is, it's good for taxpayers because hopefully after we would give a COLA, then maybe it would give relief to what the state has to put into the system.
So the pension system hit a record high. As of the end of May, it holds $148.3 billion. It's a huge jump from where it was just 17 months ago when Bronner took office. That's his words, not me. I don't know. I'm just reading. But so that's good news. And our retirees will quickly comment, but so where is our COLA? And they have every right to ask that,
Sure. I mean, for years, the system under multiple treasurers would crow about the asset to liability ratio and how we were at times number 2 in the country, at times number 3.
And
okay,
nothing.
So where's my COLA?
Yeah.
Stop bragging. But I like that he didn't just brag, as he should, on behalf of him and his staff. They've done, obviously, good work, made good choices to make money. But after the bragging, he said, the reason this is so important is the people.
He said it's important on 2 fronts. For retirees, if a deficit is eliminated, it gives the state more opportunity to do meaningful cost of living adjustments. And for taxpayers, that money can be used for other priorities in the state. So that's 2 ways it could help our members.
It is. And, the Board of Trustees, the last time they met, they made new policy that anything after they reach the benchmark of 6.5%, will be used to enhance benefits in the way of a COLA or, any other way, clicking the formula. There are a number of ways that they could enhance benefits.
Yeah. So that's all the news stories I have. So my question of the week.
John's wacky weird question of the week.
So there's actually state employee angle this week, kinda. I mean, there's a legislative angle, I guess. So the social media and AI safety bill is quickly moving through committees in the legislature. It's House Bill 301, and it'll outline social media protections for minors under 16, including age verification for social media platforms. Now, my question is, I guess, just broadly, what do you think about this? But the reason I want to talk about it is I have a 13-year-old daughter. And at one time I would be like, this is crazy. Don't set any regulations on things like this. I think it's sorely needed right now. Do you have any thoughts?
I agree with you on regulations. My thing is, though, how many times have you signed into any platform anywhere and it requires you to put in your age and all you do is type it in there?
Yeah. I guess they're saying age verification, so there needs to be some way.
How would you do
So
that?
if it's like a 16 thing, does that mean they need their
driver's license? Yeah.
But not every 16-year-old gets a driver's license.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also includes AI literacy for K-12 computer science students. So I guess that's definitely needed.
There's been a lot of coverage over AI actually, in some cases, encouraging young people to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most outrageous thing I can think of.
As someone who uses ChatGPT every now and then for like personal, just playing around with it, see what it comes up with, you can put pretty much anything into it. If you're trying to vent like you would vent to a therapist, you can put something into it and ask for advice.
Oh my goodness.
And and the way you word things can affect the advice you give you. So if someone already has mental health struggles and is putting something in there saying, I want to do this to harm myself, how do I do it? AI will give them that advice.
Okay, see, that should not.
Because
how
even
insane
social
is
media
that?
platforms like Pinterest, TikTok, if you search certain things that are self-harm related, eating disorder related, things that could be construed even that way, these social media platforms will say, absolutely not, hard stop, and we'll give you a notice at the top saying, if you're struggling, please contact this number, or we do not have anything related to this because this is against our policies. But the fact that you can go to AI platforms like Claude, ChatGPT and stuff and type these things in and basically get told, here's how you do these things,
So
it's a problem.
It's terrifying.
I have noticed that I use Claude a lot, and I have noticed that it's starting to take extra steps to tell you, hey, it's not a real thing. So the other day I was working with Claude and was building, I think, something for our website. And what it produced was pretty awesome. So I wrote like, "You're the man, Claude," or something like that.
I think you are starting to think Claude is real, but keep going.
I mean, it is real. No.
Okay. No.
But it returned this whole paragraph, this long paragraph. No, I said, "Claude, you're my best friend," or something like that.
What?
Yeah, and it returned this whole paragraph that was like, "I am not a real thing. You should never say that we're best friends."
I mean,
I was joking, but
there was someone who had a whole story on TikTok talking about how ChatGPT, Claude AI, all these platforms that she was using basically told her that her therapist was in love with her and she believed it.
Oh, yeah.
So they kind of had to start changing some things.
Vulnerable people, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a heavy thing, heavy topic.
Yeah.
So that's
but
all.
It's real.
Sheesh.
And I mean,
I really think that regulation needs to go further and like.
Well, you got the two grandmas over here that are like all for it,
Yeah.
you know.
There are certain countries that do not allow, because I know in America, like Facebook, you can get on at 13. Instagram, all those platforms, it's like 13 years old is the limit of you have to be that age.
It's a public
But other countries, they're like, you have to be 16 years old or older.
Yeah.
I think that everyone should be allowed just one account, and you should have to verify that one account. So you can't create like 30 Facebook pages or Twitter accounts. You know, you should.
Some grandparents forget their passwords.
Verify it in a real way.
Yeah.
Though, you know, not just enter your age here.
Yeah.
Because any 13-year-old can enter 18.
I wanted to do that when I was younger. My parents wouldn't let me because all of the kids I knew in school were on social media. And I was like, I'm not allowed to have it. And they're like, why?
There are definitely ways to regulate these things, but there's so much money on the other side that I don't know that it'll ever happen. Well, with that upbeat note, I think that's the end of our show. Anything else we want to get to?
I'm good. You guys have a good rest of your week.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.